Havarim, welcome friends for Ask the Rabbina. My name's Alicia and I'm the Rabbina, and I've got my virtual office, my virtual library behind me, so don't be dismayed by these white shadowy things there. We're not haunted, I promise you. And speaking of white shadowy things, my husband is here. And so Kifa's here, Yochanan's here, and Pam's here, and we're all kind of, yeah, I know, they won't go home. And the reason I'm all in white is because we just had a celebration of Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks, otherwise known as Pentecost, today. And it's tradition to wear all white because there's a bridal theme to it. And so traditionally, because it's a bridal theme, traditionally we read from the book of Ruth, which is a love story, not just between Ruth and Boaz, but the love story that's between Yahweh and his people. And that's what the whole story reminds us of that. So since this is a Q&A, I'm going to take cues. I'm going to take questions from those who are watching online and those who are here. So I'm hoping everybody can hear, and I will repeat the questions just so everybody can hear. And if you have a question, a comment, a scripture verse that you want to bring forth, please put that in the live chat area, and you'll find that either to the right or underneath this the video you're watching right now. So and we will see it. We will see those questions, and we will do our best to answer it. And it's all going to be part of the discussion. So it's not just me. We've got other voices in the room here. So okay. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the book of Ruth. And since that's the theme, that's what the questions are going to be about and concerning, and how that relates to Shavuot. All right. Let's see. Well, I'd like to start with a word of prayer before we go any further. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, King, Lord, we come to you in gratitude, Lord, in thanksgiving, for this wonderful feast of Shavuot, which is one of your feasts mentioned in Leviticus 23, that you commanded us to remember and to observe. And because we understand they are rehearsals for what you have done, what you are doing right now, and what you will do, especially through the work of Messiah Yeshua. And so, Lord, we ask that you would be the center of our conversation, that you would bring to mind those points, those important things that you want us to speak about, and prompt those questions for those maybe who are too shy to ask. Lord, just prompt them to ask, and answer the questions that come forth through those who are assembled here together. We thank you and we bless you. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, in Messiah Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. Okay, so I'm still in Yirmiyahu, and let's see. Oh, got all kinds of place keepers. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get I'm going to do it. I've got it here. So if anybody needs scriptures like the paper version, you can borrow this one. I'm going to do this. I'm going to find this in another way. Los papeles. Yeah, right. The papers. Let me see your papers. Okay. And then this. Yes. All right. Just doing a little housekeeping with my laptop here, my screen. So, okay. So I hope you all had a wonderful, restful, meaningful time observing Shavuot in your way, and hopefully it's also aligns with Yahweh's way. Okay. And let me look for the book of Ruth. I I know you're here. There you are. Hello, Ruth. Okay, I know. Hello, Ruth. What's that? Okay, we have the peanut gallery here. All right. So, what I'd like to do is have us each read a couple of verses as we go around the table, and we'll go clockwise. And so Kifa will have the next one. And as we read, I know I'm closest to the, I know some people go. As we read, I know I'm closest to the microphone, so you can hear my voice the loudest. So I'm requesting that all those others that are in the room reading, that you would read nice and loud so everyone at home can hear. All right, so I'm gonna, oh no! Yikes. Okay, so let's start from Ruth chapter 1, verse 1. He's cheating. Oh no. Oh. Oh. Oh, okay. Okay, good. We'll just, go this way. Okay. So let's begin with Ruth 1, verse 1. And it came to be in the days when the rulers ruled that there was a scarcity of food in the land, and a man from Bethlehem, Yehuda, went to, and that's in Judah, went to sojourn in the fields of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife was Naomi. And the names of his 2 sons were Machlon and Kilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Yehuda. And they went to the fields of Moab and came to be there. Okay, and if you would continue reading until the end of 5, verse 5.
And Elimelech, husband of Naomi, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. And they took wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Oprah.
No, Orpah. Not Oprah. I don't know. She gets
Orpah.
in everywhere. Orpah. We have
and
fun.
The name of the other Ruth. And they dwelt there for about 10 years. And Mahlon and Kilion also died, both of them. So the woman was bereaved of her 2 sons and of her husband.
Okay, so far that's setting the stage. This is taking place in Bethlehem, which we know as Bethlehem, which is in Judea. And here it says Yehuda, because it's the area where the tribe of Yehuda kind of made their home, spread out in that area. Okay, so now we have 3 widows. Naomi, her husband died, and the husbands of her the 2 daughters-in-law, her 2 sons died. So so this was a dire situation. Okay, and Yochanan, would you read from 6 until the end of 9?
And she rose up with her daughters-in-law and returned from the fields of Moab, for she had heard in the fields of Moab that Yahweh had visited his people and giving them bread. And she left the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her. And they went on their way to return to the land of Yehuda. And Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, Go return each to her mother's house. Yahweh show kindness to you as you have shown to the dead and to me. Yahweh grant that you find rest, each in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept.
Okay, so she's sending them away to start a new life of their own. And do you have a question yet, or we're going to wait for the opportune moment?
It has nothing to do with what you're reading, so I don't know if it's the right time.
Oh, okay.
So
When the Lord prompts you, that's just
we should-
start flailing. Start flailing. We'll know. Okay. I know. Pick me. Okay. All right. And verse 10. And they said to her, "No, we shall go back with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Go back, my daughters. Why go with me? Have I still sons in my womb that they should become your husbands? Go back, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have expectancy, even if I should have a husband tonight and should also bear sons, would you wait for them till they were grown? Would you shut yourselves up not to have a husband? No, my daughters, for it is much more bitter for me than for you, because the hand of Yahweh has gone out against me." I know, sad. I know. Okay, Kifa, if you would read from 14 to the end of 17.
And they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. And she said, "Look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her mighty ones. Go back, follow your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not urge me to leave you or to go back from following after you. For wherever you go, I go, and wherever you stop over, I stop over. Your people is my people, and your Elohim is my Elohim. Where you die, I die, and there I shall be buried. Yahweh, do so to me, and more also, for death itself parts you and me."
Okay, so Orpah decides that, okay, she'll go back to Moab to find a husband. And but Ruth doesn't. She clings to Naomi, and she says, "Do not ask me to leave you, and or stop me from following you." And it's a beautiful scene where she clings to Naomi, and this is a sign. This is devotion right here. She wants to be with Naomi to make sure that she's all right, because she knows Naomi's alone, and she herself is alone, and she sees the kindness that Naomi has shown her. So, of course, this is the only family that she's got right now. And she says, "I want to be part of your people." Here in, where is it? Verse 15, where Naomi says, "Look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her mighty ones." Now it's speaking of not just mighty ones like a ruler or a king. She's speaking, yeah, the gods, exactly. Speaking about the pagan gods that they worship in Moab. These two girls were from a pagan country. So so it's a tearful situation. Ruth says, "No, I'm not going to leave you. Where you go, I will go. Where you dwell, I will dwell there. Where you're buried, I'm going to be buried there. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God." And this is just so significant. You know, this is someone who's being grafted in to a people that she didn't know before. So, any comment?
No.
Nope. Okay. All right. Okay. So, verse 18, go to the end of the,
And when she saw that she was strengthening herself to go with her, she ceased to speak to her. And both of them went until they came to Beit Lechem.
Mhm.
And it came to be that when they had come to Beit Lechem, that all the city was moved because of them. And they said, "Is this Naomi?" And she said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out in the field, and Yahweh has brought me back empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since Yahweh has witnessed against me, and the Almighty has done evil to me? Thus Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, who returned from the fields of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest.
Okay, so here Naomi wants to be called Mara, and the word Mara means bitter. It's also the name Miriam, the mother of Yeshua. That name also stems from the word bitter or bitterness. And truly, when she witnessed her son give his life, die before her very eyes, that was a very bitter thing to go through. I don't believe she carried bitterness, but what she was dealt with at that time was a bitter thing. So she wants to be called Mara. The name Naomi means pleasant. We sing a related word where we say Hine matov umanayim, which means how pleasant it is. Behold how good and how pleasant it is when brothers dwell together in unity. Okay. And any questions or any comments? Nope.
Wasn't the the water that they experienced in the desert, wasn't that also called
Mara.
Mara, yes, the waters they experienced that they, didn't really want to drink from in the desert was called Mara because they were bitter waters. Yeah. So whenever you see a name that's related, it's because it's bitter for a reason. Okay, so all right. Oh, okay. Stranger Things. Okay. All right. So we're in chapter 2. All right. And let's see. You just read, correct? Okay. All right. Starting at verse 1 in chapter 2. Excuse me. And Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a man of great wealth, of the clan of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, "Please let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him, in whose eyes I find favor." So she said to her, "Go, my daughter." And she left and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. As it turned out, she came to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, the near relative of Elimelech. And so Boaz had come from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, "Yahweh be with you." And they answered him, "Yahweh bless you." Okay, so here's Boaz. And if you've read the story before, you know that he is the kinsman who becomes the kinsman redeemer. Yes. And so here in verse 2, Ruth asks Naomi for permission to go to the field and glean the heads of grain. And this is during the barley harvest. This is important because, and the reason we read from the book of Ruth at this time, because it is the barley harvest. And so that's another way it's related. And there was a way of helping the poor by allowing the poor, the widow, the orphan, those who were in need, to glean the corners of a field. So Yahweh told the people, "You can reap your grain, but leave the corners for those to come and glean." That way, you don't embarrass them by offering the grain, because they're in need, but they can actually work and feel like they've done something meaningful and they can keep their dignity. So this was a kindness. Okay, so let's see. Verse 5.
Till when?
Okay, goes from verse 5 to the end of verse 8.
And Boaz said to a servant who was appointed over the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" So the servant who was appointed over the reapers answered and said, "It is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the fields of Moab." And she said, "Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the reapers." And she came and has remained from morning until now. She sat a little in the house.
One more.
And Boaz said to Ruth, "You have heard, have you not, my daughter? Do not go to glean in another field, nor go from here, but stay close to my young women."
Okay, so that was basically for her safety, because if she had gone to another field, these might be non-relatives, and and also somewhere in Naomi's mind, she's become a little bit of a yenta. She wants to match up Ruth with someone in her family. I know we all think of Fiddler on the Roof, but yeah, but I know matchmaker. Yes. I know we're going to break into song in a moment. But so this, this was a part of Naomi's plan to make sure that her daughter-in-law remained in her family. Okay. All right. Yochanan, if you would read from 9 until the end of 12.
Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and you shall go after them. Have I not commanded the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn. And she fell on her face, bowed to the ground, and said to him, Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, seeing I am a foreigner? And Boaz answered and said to her, I have been told all that you have done for my mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother and the land of your birth, and have come to a people whom you did not know before. Yahweh repay your work, and your reward is complete from Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, under whose wings you have come to seek refuge.
Okay, so his heart is turned toward her. He likes her. I think he does. Yes. So he's not disagreeable, and the fact that she was married into the family before, it's different than if she just came directly from Moab, as this foreigner, as this pagan worshiper or idol worshiper. She gained a little favor. So, okay, so let's see. So I'm going to start at 13. And she said, Let me find favor in your eyes, my master, because you have comforted me and have spoken to the heart of your female servant, though I am not like one of your female servants. And Boaz said to her, Come here at mealtime. Then you shall eat of the bread and dip your piece of bread in the vinegar. And she sat beside the reapers, and he passed roasted grain to her. And she ate and was satisfied and had left over. And she rose up to glean, and Boaz commanded his young men, saying, Let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not embarrass her. Rather, draw out from the bundles for her, and leave it for her to glean, and do not restrain her. So he's showing favor right away. Not just, big time. Yeah. Not only is she allowed to glean from the corners of the field, but he's, and gleaning is when you pick up the grain that has fallen to the ground and some of the, the droppings from the sheaves. So I know that sounded terrible. No, not sheep, not droppings from the sheep. The kernels of grain, and also some of the straw that it's connected to. I don't know what it's called. I know you guys. Come on. Huh?
Chaff.
Chaff. Thank you. Yeah. So Normally the poor would go and pick that up. He is instructing his workers to leave sheaves already tied up and ready for her to take with her and use those. So, and he says, don't embarrass her. So he knows he's doing a good thing for her. He knows that she is indebted to him for his kindness, but he is not going to hold it over her. So this is going above just being kind. Okay. Kifa, if you would read from 17 to the end of 19.
And she gleaned in the field until evening, and beat out that which she had gleaned. And it was about an ephah of barley. And she took it up and went into the city. And her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. And she brought out
Come on, kids.
and gave to her what she had left over after she was satisfied. Then her mother-in-law asked her, where have you gleaned today? And where did you work? Blessed be the one who took notice of you. And she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked and said, the name of the man I work today is Boaz.
Aha. I don't think Naomi was surprised. I think this was all part of her plan. And at the very least, it was part of Yahweh's plan. So, yes, he knew the end from the beginning, and this was lining up. Okay, Yochanan, if you would read from 20 to the end.
And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, blessed be he of Yahweh, who has not forsaken his kindness to the living and the dead. And Naomi said to her, the man is a relative of ours, one of our redeemers. And Ruth the Moabitess said, he also said to me, stay close to my young people until they have completed all my harvest. And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it is good, my daughter, that you go out to his young women, and that they do not meet you in any other field. And she stayed close by the young women of Boaz to glean till the completion of the barley harvest and wheat harvest, but she dwelt with her mother-in-law.
Okay, so again, she's trying to keep her safe. Stay with the family, stay with the women. Don't go wandering off, because the young man might take advantage of her. During the time, in that culture, during the time of the harvest, there were many men out in the field. And when you have a group of men together and they see women coming to glean, they may have ideas that are not so savory. So Naomi, again, is looking out for her. Stay with the women, stay with the family. Don't go to another field. Be here because Boaz is keeping an eye on everything. So, okay. Oh, yeah. You young men. Get out. No.
The word for the day.
The word for today is get out. Yeah. Young man. No, I know. These were not the village people, no. Yeah, right. There's a difference. Okay, so let's go to, and the what?
The Bethlehem.
Yeah, the Bethlehemites, right. Okay, I know. Any questions or comments? Nope. Going once, going twice. Okay, let's go on to chapter 3. 3.
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. After 3 weeks. Sorry. I'm remembering Fiddler on the Roof. Sorry.
Right? Of course, right.
Right. Okay. We're getting a little, I know we get a little goofy. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. It's that spiritual wine.
I was saying.
Yeah. Pour it out, Lord. Pour it out. Okay. Thank you. Toll. And yeah, I
Like a
have to have my
machine.
dark chocolate covered almond. I know. I need strength. I'm gleaning. Oh goodness. Okay. You guys are too much. All right. I know. Yes. Okay. All right. Chapter 3, verse 1. And Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, should I not seek rest for you so that it is well with you? And now is not Boaz, with whose young women you have been, our relative? See, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. And you shall bathe and anoint yourself and put your garments on and go down to the threshing floor. Do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. And it shall be when he lies down that you shall notice the place where he lies, and shall go in and uncover his feet and lie down, and let him make known to you what you should do." And she said to her, "All that you say to me, I do." So this was a plan. This was a plan. Now, I know there was a movie called The Story of Ruth. And in the movie, they sort of try to paint a picture that Naomi was asking Ruth to do something that was a little unseemly, but she wasn't. It was revealed later in the movie, like in the story, that she did not intend for Ruth to do anything that was against Torah, that would be shed a bad light on her. She was to be a lady and not to, show herself to be an opportunist or, show herself in a bad light. But she, of course, she's doing some matchmaking. She knows that Boaz finds Ruth attractive, and she's trying to help Ruth form a little bit of a relationship here, and just kind of move things along a little bit. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah. That would be bad. Yes, I've been informed. I've got chocolate in my hand. Okay. Yes, wearing white is dangerous. Did I get anything out of you?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Oh, not yet. No, yet is the word. Okay, so she was looking out for her daughter-in-law. We all need somebody to look out for us. Okay, so she says, "Go and freshen up, bathe, anoint yourself, with fragrant oils, put your garments on, and go down to the threshing floor." This is where Boaz is going to be. He's winnowing the barley, and he's working hard. And of course, at some time he's going to get tired. He's going to want to lay down and take a nap, go to sleep. And so she instructs Ruth to take notice of where Boaz is, where he's going to lie down. And then later come back to where he's laying down, uncover his feet, and lay down next to his feet. This is a demonstration of submission. You're my benefactor, you're my master. Maybe you'll be my husband. But she's doing this in such a way where she's not lying next to him. So she's keeping everything decent. She's lying at his feet like a servant. And then Naomi tells her, "And let him make known to you what you should do." So he's the master. She's going to find out what kind of guy he is, that if he's honorable, and from there she'll judge what the relationship should be. And then of course Ruth says, "Okay, everything you told me to do, I will do." Okay. Kifa, if you would read from verse 6 to the end of verse 10.
And she went down to the threshing floor and did according to all that her mother-in-law commanded her. And Boaz ate and drank, and his heart was glad. And he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. And she came softly and uncovered his feet and lay down. And it came to be at midnight that the man was startled and turned himself and saw a woman lying at his feet. And he said,
Get
"Who are
out.
you?"
No.
And she answered, "I am Ruth, your female servant. Now you shall spread your covering over your female servant, for you are a redeemer."
Couldn't help myself.
And that was end of 9.
Okay. Go to the end of 10.
And he said, "Blessed are you of Yahweh, my daughter, for you have shown more loving commitment at the end than at the beginning, not to go after young men, whether poor or rich."
Okay. So he sees she's honorable, that she's not trying to weasel her way into his good graces. She's showing him honor, and she's showing herself honor. She's honoring her reputation as well. So he, thank you. This is why I do this alone. But that's okay. I have to have my chocolate. I have to have my chocolate. Okay, so yes, I'm gleaning again. So it says she had uncovered his feet and laid down, and it came to be at midnight that the man was startled. If there was somebody laying at my feet, I would be startled too. But wait a minute, where'd you come from? And he turned himself and saw a woman lying at his feet. Then he said, "Who are you?" I go, it's dark. He doesn't know who that is. And then she says, "I'm Ruth, your female servant. Now you shall spread your covering over your female servant, for you are a redeemer." So Boaz is a redeemer. He's the one that's supposed to marry a widow in order for the family name to continue. And so he sees that she's an honorable woman, and he blesses her. And especially since, he states here, blessed are you of Yahweh, my daughter, for you have shown me more kindness at the end than at the beginning. So right away, she was showing her character right at the beginning. And then he continues, not to go after young men, whether poor or rich. So she wasn't throwing herself at young men, but she came humbly to him as Redeemer. Okay, 11. Let's see. If you would take 11 to the end of 4. End of 14. Yes.
And now, my daughter, do not fear. All that you say I do for you. For all the people of my town know that you are a capable woman. And now it is true that I am your Redeemer. However, there is a Redeemer nearer than I. Stop over tonight, and in the morning it shall be that if he does redeem you, good, let him do it. But if he is not pleased to redeem you, then I shall redeem you as Yahweh lives. Lie down until morning.
Okay. So, intermission. That's what it sounds like. And Keefa's phone go off. Okay, I know. I always want to sing "Let's All Go to the Snack Bar." That's what it sounds like. Okay, so Boaz says, "Yes, I offer you chocolate." Boaz knows he's a redeemer, but he says, "However, there is a redeemer nearer than I." In other words, there's a closer relative. There's a closer relative that is ahead in line. So he's being, he's bowing out gracefully and allowing her to choose. So we're, oh my goodness. Yes, we do have fun here, don't we? I know. Have some more tamarind. Okay. Oh my, good thing that we're almost to the end. Are you crying? There's no crying in Torah. There's no crying in Midrash.
I can't breathe.
Oh no. Breathe in. What?
I got the joy. Joy.
Oh, no. Oh yeah, I got the joy down in my kishkis. Down in my kishkis. Wow.
Oh.
We're having too much fun. Yes, I know. It's that new wine. It's
It
that
was
new
only a
one.
phone call from Scam Likely.
Oh no. Did you put it on silent?
Oh, I told him I just ended the call.
Okay. All right. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. Are you gonna be okay? Oh, you know the Heimlich maneuver,
Yes.
right? Okay. You might have to apply. Here.
CPR.
CPR. Okay. Yeah. You know CPR. I know C3PO. Yeah. Sorry, it wasn't that funny. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, here we are. Whenever I'm like on the verge of laughing really hard, I always get this pain right behind my ears. It's like, all right, I'm okay. You'll do. Okay. We were at the end of, where are we? 14, right? You read to the end of 14?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, 15.
Yeah. I think, yeah. I know. Okay. That was a little pause. All right, little pause. Okay. Verse 15. And he said, bring the shawl that is on you and hold it. So she held it, and he measured 6 measures of barley and laid it on her. And she went into the city. And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, is that you, my daughter? And she explained to her all that the man had done for her. And she said, he gave me these 6 measures of barley, for he said to me, do not go empty-handed to your mother-in-law. And she said, wait, my daughter, until you know how the matter falls. For the man is not going to rest until he has completed the matter this day. Oh my. He's got the joy. Right. Okay, we're at the last chapter. If we survive. All right. Kifa. I know, it's something's in the chocolate. Okay.
I'm not eating it.
I know. All right. I know. All right. Let's see. Kifa, if you would read from verse 1 to the end of verse 4.
And Boaz went up to the gate and sat down there. And see, the Redeemer of whom Boaz had spoken came by. And Boaz said, turn aside, so and so, sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of elders of the city and said, sit down here. So they sat down. He then said to the Redeemer, Naomi, who has come back from the fields of Moab, sold the piece of land which belonged to our brother Amalek. And I thought that I should disclose it to you, saying, buy it back, and the presence of the inhabitants and the elders of my people. If you do redeem it, redeem it. But if you do not redeem it, inform me, so that I know. For there is no one but you to redeem it, and I am next after you. And he said, I redeem it.
Okay. All right. So he's using this story of a piece of land to, I guess, maybe test the waters, see what the mindset of this man is, and he decides, okay, he's going to redeem it. All right. Okay, Yochanan, if you would read from 5 to the end of 9.
And Boaz said, on the day that you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you shall also acquire Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead on his inheritance. And the Redeemer said, I am not able to redeem it for myself, lest I ruin my own inheritance. Redeem my right of redemption for yourself, for I am not able to redeem it. And this was formerly done in Israel concerning redeeming and exchanging, to confirm every word. One man took off his sandal and gave it to the other, as this was a witness in Israel. So the Redeemer said to Boaz, buy it for yourself. Then he took off his sandal. And Boaz said to the elders and to all the people, you are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech's, and all that was Kilion's and Machlon's from the hand of Naomi.
Okay, so Boaz presented this deal to the first in line redeemer as, focusing on the land. And so after the first in line redeemer, so and so, it's got his name is sit down, so and so, and at first he says, okay, I'll redeem it, but then he says, along with the land is you would also acquire Ruth the Moabitess. So then the redeemer, first redeemer, is saying, wait a minute, she's a Moabitess? This is not going to sit well with my family or with my community. And to him, it wasn't worth the risk. So he gave up his right to the land, and he said to Boaz, go ahead and redeem it for yourself. And so the way in that culture at that time, they would take, they were doing this deal. And so symbolically, they would take off their sandal and hand it to another person. And basically saying, when you're walking in your sandals on land, you've got the soil from that land on the bottom of your sandals. And you're basically, instead of like taking up a handful of dirt and handing it to somebody, you hand the sandal over. And it's symbolically, where I would have walked, you can walk now. Okay, so let's see. And he took, we were at the end of 9, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I know. They were flat. It was okay. Walk in circles, right? Oh my gosh. What am I going to do with you kids? Okay. All right. So now we're in Ruth chapter 4, verse 10. All right. And also, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, I have acquired as my wife to raise up the name of the dead on his inheritance, so that the name of the dead should not be cut off from among his brothers and from the gate of his place. You are witnesses today. That's the reason he was sitting at the gate, because all the elders, the leaders of the community, would be there to witness what he was about to do. So not only did Naomi have plans, Boaz had plans. Okay. And then he goes on in verse 11, and all the people who were at the gate and the elders said, witnesses, Yahweh make the woman who is coming to your house as Rachel as Leah, the two who built the house of Israel, and prove your worth in Ephratah, and proclaim the name in Beit Lechem. And let your house be like the house of Peretz, whom Tamar bore to Yehudah, of the seed which Yahweh does give you from this young woman. And Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife, and he went into her, and Yahweh granted her conception, and she bore a son. So the union was blessed, and because they did it the right way. And in verse 11, where it's saying, witnesses, Yahweh make this woman who is coming to your house as Rachel and as Leah, the two who built the house of Israel. They're saying basically that Ruth is as Rachel and Leah. She's going to be also taking part in building up the house of Israel. And so they're saying she's going to be fruitful. They're going to have children. They have a future for not only their family, but for Israel. Okay, and that blessing, Rachel and Leah, when we bless children, we bless the sons according to Ephraim and Manasseh, and then when we bless the female children, the daughters, it's Rachel, Leah, and other of the mothers of Israel. So that's meaningful to me. Okay, and let's see, Kifa, if you would read from 14, read to the end of 17.
And the women said to Naomi, Blessed be Yahweh, who has not left you this day without a redeemer, and let his name be proclaimed in Israel. And he shall be to you a restorer of life and a sustainer of your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is better to you than 7 sons, has borne him. And Naomi took the child and laid him on her bosom and became a nurse to him. And the women, her neighbors, gave him a name, saying, There is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Obed. And he was the father of Ishai, the father of David.
Okay, so all names in, when you go through the Bible and you read all these names, each name is prophetic. And so here, the women are blessing Naomi, and they're saying that that he will make her to be a restorer of life, because she had a hand in bringing Boaz and Ruth together. And so otherwise, if Ruth continued to be a widow, that would be the end of the line. There would be no generations after her. And, not only would she not be taken care of in her old age, and those children who would be grandchildren to Naomi would take care of their grandmother as well. But if there was no children because of Ruth continuing to be a widow, then the generations would not go forth. And of course, Yahweh knew this. Ruth is the ancestor of Yeshua. So, yes. And of course, they lived in Beit Lechem, which is the birthplace of David, Melech David, King David, and of course, Messiah Yeshua. Yes. And so, symbolically, she took this child and laid him on her bosom, and it says became a nurse to him. In other words, she cared for him and claimed him like he was her own son. And we see earlier in scripture how Abraham does that, Yaakov does that, each one of the patriarchs and matriarchs does that. It's it's taking care of future generations. And then they named the son Obed, which means servant. So yeah, it's from we know of Obadiah. Yeah, he's a servant of Yah. That's what that name means. But this man would be servant, and he would be the father of Yishai, Jesse. He would be the grandfather of King David. Okay, and if you would just kind of round it up by reading to the end.
Okay. And this is a genealogy of Peretz. Peretz brought forth Chetzron, and Chetzron brought forth Ram, and Ram brought forth Aminadab, and Aminadab brought forth Nechshon, and Nechshon brought forth Salmon. Salmon brought forth Boaz, and Boaz brought forth Obed, and Obed brought forth Yishai, and Yishai brought forth David.
Yes, and now we have a king. Amen. Well, that is the book of Ruth, which is traditionally read during this season, during Shavuot. It's a love story. It's also a it's prophetic. It's as it's related to Shavuot. Any questions or comments on that? You had a question. Do you still have that question? Completely different. That's okay. We are completely different. No? Yes.
Okay, so it had to do with communion.
Oh, okay.
And I was wondering what the Hebrew words were. So I don't know if you need to go to a certain Hebrew Bible for this. Or
Mm.
Matthew 26:6.
Okay.
It's talking about his body. Take, eat. This is my body.
Mhm.
So what I'm asking is, like, why do people say it represents my body? It said this is.
In the Hebraic way of thinking, when you point to an object or a concept or whatever, and you say it is something, it is saying that it's has importance, and that it is representative. So it can be exactly that, or it can represent what it looks like, or what it's supposed. It could be both. It could be both. There is a difference in. I think what comes to mind is in the Catholic Church, there's a concept called transubstantiation. And what that is basically is it's thought that a Catholic priest, has the power to take Yeshua off the throne and put him into the bread. That's the way they see it. That's the way they see it. They won't admit to that, but that's exactly what how it began, how they started, manipulating that sacrament, or that, remembrance. It's supposed to be a remembrance. So when we take communion, Messiah's table, it's also called Yiskor. Yiskor means remembrance, because yes, he said, "This is my body. This is my blood," and he's letting his disciples know that this is a representation. Because later on he says, "Do this in remembrance of me." He doesn't say, "Do this because I'm in it. This is me." He says, "Do it in remembrance of me." So I think that's important to make that distinction, because I know over the years, especially with Catholic influence, they really believe that that's, to the point where I've heard people say, well, when you take communion, you let it melt in your mouth. You don't chew, like you're going to be chewing on the Messiah, that's kind of a strange way of thinking of it, but we have to be careful of how we interpret things, that it's not too close to that doctrine that really has no biblical basis. However, I will say this: whatever you do in his name, whatever, however you remember something that he says to do, like keeping the Passover, like when we're not leaving Egypt, like we're not slaves right now. We're not in Egypt and getting ready to leave, but we are still supposed to think of ourselves as having been there and left. So that remembrance is important. It's important enough to remember, even though we're not slaves, actual Egyptian slaves. So I don't know if I muddied the waters more.
Here's one from John 6,
Uh-huh.
53 to 56.
Uh-huh.
And
John's.
this turned a lot of people off. And Jesus said to them, I assure you,
Mhm.
most solemnly, I tell you that you cannot have any life in you unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man
Mhm.
and drink his blood. It
Right.
doesn't say representation. It says,
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because I think he may have been saying it that way to wake them up. I mean, there's a little shock value, to it. In scripture, oftentimes, especially in the Tanakh, the Old Testament, it speaks of eating the word of God. We don't literally tear pages out of a Bible and start consuming them. It's a picturesque way of saying, making something a part of you. Like you are what you eat. We've heard of that phrase. Making, yeah, you are what you read. Exactly. So when he says, he who eats my flesh, basically, what did his flesh go through in when he lived here on earth? He went through testing, through suffering, and through death. And when he says, he who eats my flesh, he who accepts what I was willing to go through and is willing to walk in my footsteps, even to keeping the commandments of Yahweh, because that was part of what his, being in the flesh, he had to do. He had to walk Torah. And then he says, and drinks my blood. What's blood? Life. Blood is life, and it's what keeps us, keeps everything working in our bodies. That it's representative of being tapped into the vine.
But has the consistency of oil.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So he's making a statement here, albeit in a very picturesque way. He's saying you need to be committed. If you're not committed enough to walk in the way I walk and to be connected to me like the vine, and like he's connected to the Father, then we can have no part of his kingdom. He's saying too many people are just believers in name only. They go through the motions, but there's no true commitment. Yeah. I think, like the chicken. Right. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. Yeah,
one
sister.
commitment to the other.
Yeah. Sister Pam was noting that, a chicken and a pig, are different. In the chicken, there's no real commitment to make lay the egg, but the pig, hey, that's a full commitment to become bacon. But yes. So yeah. So are we really committed? Are we really walking the walk, walking the talk? So yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if we needed a Hebrew definition of the word, but that makes sense too.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there is. But yeah, I do get that question though a lot. So, okay. And I'm going to check and see the chat here. Anybody have any questions who's watching online? There's a few of you out there. You too. I know, more this way. Okay. All right. It is. It is. So, okay. Any questions? Any comments? Any bags, any bones, any bottles? Okay. All right. Well, it was a good time. We were having a good time in the spirit. Yeah, especially earlier. Yes, we had a wonderful worship service, and we took Messiah's table and dedicated ourselves to the Lord. And this was a great roundtable reading of the book of Ruth, well, square table reading of Ruth and discussing. And thank you for this question, sister. That was good. Keeps me sharp too. You know, iron sharpens iron. So I'm surrounded by irons. I know it's a pressing situation. So sorry. Okay. Well, I want to thank,
Wrinkle.
yeah, right. Right. Well, I want to thank all of y'all for joining me here today in Up Close and Personal. I want to thank you for joining us online. And I hope this has been a blessing to you. Oh my goodness. Beard alert. Beard alert. Wow. Okay. I know. We have too good a time. When we had a bunch of kids. Thank you. I still have a bunch of kids right here. Yeah, I had to have my chocolate here. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, when we had a bunch of kids at one time, there was one family where the kids used to refer to us, oh, we're going to the happy church, and that we always have the joy of the Lord. And so yeah, if you go to an assembly and everybody's all sad and long faced and everything, yeah, watch out. Peanut gallery. Who wants to come back? So anyway, we invite you to come and experience the joy that we have and the silliness sometimes too. And so I hope this was a blessing to you. It was certainly a blessing to me. Just wait till your father gets home. And so I hope you'll join us again Wednesday night for Midweek Midrash. And we'll be continuing our discussion of the Moedim. So, and more laughs. Okay, more laughs. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining in. And until we see you next time, shalom, shalom.